The Philips 3000 series dual drawer air fryer is an asymmetrical 9-litre 2-drawer air fryer. The larger drawer has a 6-litre capacity and the smaller drawer is 3 litres. Philips say the larger drawer can accommodate a 1.5 kilogram chicken, but I just about managed to squeeze in one that was 1.8 kilograms by breaking the breastbone, but smaller would have been better. It has 8 different presets on the control panel, which are pre-programmed times and temperatures for different food types. They're only ever referred to in the instructions as presets rather than settings, so I'm pretty confident that there is only one fan speed on this air fryer. Each preset has a different duration depending on whether you select it for the small drawer or the big drawer, and those different times will appear on the screen as I talk you through them. So starting off on the left, there is a preset for frozen potato-based snacks, which runs at 200 Celsius and is intended for everything from hash browns to chips. Then there is a fresh fries preset, which runs at 180. The third option is chops at 200 Celsius, and I tested this again with pork chops, which was actually the first time I have ever cooked them. The next one along is chicken drumsticks at 200 Celsius. Then, surprisingly, there is a preset specifically for cooking whole fish. Not fish generally, but specifically a whole fish, which runs at 180 Celsius. So I did dutifully test it out with a whole sea bream, which was great, but I am a little surprised that they have this as a preset over one, for instance, for a whole chicken, which would have been, I thought, more popular. The next one along is mixed vegetables at 180 Celsius. Then there is a setting for cake at 140, which seems to me to be quite a low temperature for baking. And the last option is for reheat at 160, which is timed for 5 minutes, regardless of which drawer you select. Both the preset for frozen potato snacks and the one for fresh fries has an automatic shake reminder built in, which you can turn off. And on the other presets, there is no shake reminder, but you can choose to turn it on or off at any point during the cooking process by selecting the drawer you want and then pressing the symbol on the display. Now, if you don't want to use the presets to cook, you can just program the air fryer manually by choosing your own time and temperature. The maximum temperature you can set it for is 200 Celsius and the minimum is 40 Celsius. And you can program the air fryer to run for between 1 minute and an hour. Now that hour maximum does mean that it would be very difficult to dehydrate anything in this air fryer, because although the temperature goes low enough, you'd have to reset it and start again every hour for 4 or 5 hours. The good news is on this model you can add time midway through cooking if you realise you need longer, and like most air fryers there is an option to duplicate the time and temperature from one drawer to both. Although on this model it only works if you program the air fryer manually, not using the presets. And you have to ensure that you start with the left drawer, as it will only duplicate left to right. There's also an option to synchronise the finish times, so both drawers finish together regardless of the cooking duration. Just set each drawer up with time and temperature and press the time function button on the control panel before you press start. The drawer with the longer duration will start first, and the second drawer will join it when they have the same time remaining. Talking of which, I have one small complaint about the control panel, which is that the start button is very close to the down arrow for the timer controls. So you may find you accidentally start the cooking prematurely if you're a little bit too impatient with your finger presses. Now, this model does have an instruction book. It includes a lot of helpful tables and suggestions for times and temperatures for different food types, and quite a detailed written guide on how to make the best air fryer chips. But there's one problem, which is that they don't actually supply you with a printed copy of it. Instead, you have to scan a QR code on the very basic printed multi-language guide they give you, and then download the full manual onto your phone or access it via the Philips Home ID app. That app also includes a range of recipes with suggested timings and temperatures, But this model is not a smart air fryer, so you can't actually program it directly from the app. The build quality of this Philips air fryer is excellent. I could tell I was onto a winner the moment it came out of the box. Everything feels solid and well put together, and it's got an automatic 2-year warranty, which starts the moment you buy it without the need to register your appliance. If you have a problem and you need to contact them, there is a customer service phone line and even the option to message them on WhatsApp if you have a problem, which I know will suit a lot of people. Another bit of good news, this air fryer is also pretty quiet when it's running, averaging 65 or 66 decibels with both drawers running at the maximum temperature. The volume of beeps are really hard to get right on air fryers. Some people find loud ones annoying, others don't like quiet ones because they're easy to miss. This model's beeps are definitely on the quieter side, which will be good news for some people. Appearance-wise, I've mentioned it already, but it's a good-looking appliance. The finish looks pretty high-end, the touchscreen is great. I like the two-tone body and the rounded corners. You can also buy a version of this which is almost the same but has copper handles and copper detailing. Size-wise, it measures approximately 444mm wide, 383mm deep and 314mm high, and the power cord is 80cm long. In the box, you'll find a random extra piece of plastic. You might wonder what on earth it is, particularly if you haven't downloaded the manual, because there are no printed instructions about what you should do with it. It's actually designed to fit on the back of the air fryer, where it serves as a combined cord holder and fender. So you can wrap the cord around it if you're storing the air fryer, and it also stops you from pushing the air fryer too close to the wall and blocking the hot air outlets at the back. The baskets for this air fryer are dishwasher safe and non-stick. But someone will ask, and I'm afraid there's no further information available about the details of that coating, either in the instruction booklet or when I inquired directly with Philips customer services. The crisper plate in the small drawer is similar to most air fryers, but in the larger drawer, instead of a plate, you get a basket with sides and rubber feet. One thing that some people won't like about this air fryer is the fact that it doesn't have flat bottoms to the drawers. Instead, they have a raised pattern which is designed to reflect the logo of the rapid air technology which this air fryer features. I think it looks pretty cool, but some people will not like it because it will make it harder to cook wet foods straight in the drawer, even though this appliance really isn't actually built for that. And if you want to cook wet food, you'd be much better off just buying a multi-cooker. Now, Philips does sell a few accessories to go with this model. There's a rack with skewers, which is a pretty standard offering with a lot of air fryers. But they also sell a very clever combined egg and toast rack, which I think is rather neat. If you like the look of this breakfast rack, do pay attention if you're planning on buying the air fryer on Amazon, because there's one listing for the air fryer on its own and another one for it with the breakfast kit. And sometimes it's actually cheaper to buy the air fryer with the added accessory than without. And by the way, if you want more tips about getting the best price when you buy an air fryer, I made a video all about that, and that is linked in the description and up there or up there somewhere. So you might be wondering what this model is like for power consumption. I did the standard energy test with it, so 10 minutes at 200 Celsius. I normally do that on air fry if that setting is available. Instead, on this one, I used the frozen chips preset just in case there was any difference in fan speed, which, as I said, I'm pretty certain there isn't. Now, it's a little bit tricky to compare the results directly with other dual basket models because, of course, the baskets on this one are two different sizes. But here's how it stacked up next to the Ninja Foodie Max. And despite the higher wattage on this model, it actually used less power than the Ninja in all three tests. Now, presumably that's because it has a less powerful fan, but based on the results I've seen cooking with it, that actually doesn't make any noticeable difference to the results or the timings. And by the way, if you like that energy consumption test, make sure you subscribe to this channel because I'm pretty certain I'm the only person doing it for UK appliances on YouTube. So downsides to this air fryer, well, an obvious one, if you want windows, it doesn't have them, and we've found as a family we've got used to having them and so rather missed them over the last week or so. As I mentioned, there's no real dehydrate option, although I think for most people that's something you try out a couple of times when you first have an air fryer and then the novelty tends to wear off. And the third thing really is that raised pattern on the base of the drawers, which could potentially limit how you use them. But apart from those very small points, I loved it. I think it's got excellent build quality, really nice design, and it's definitely up there on my list of favourite air fryers this year. And also, I'm just really pleased to find another manufacturer making great quality air fryers, because ultimately we need more competition in the market because it means better prices and better quality products. Now, if you've bought this model already, or if you're about to, don't disappear just yet, because there's a link in the description to tins and accessories that fit this model. And you can see photos of how different size accessories look in the drawers and links to where you can buy them from. And as a final thought, if you're a regular on this channel, you might know about how all the air fryers get nicknames. And it's a rarity, but I actually named this one. I've said it before, right at the start. I've mentioned it 3 times, I think. But it's good looking and it's well built and it sort of looks like it's vaguely wearing a sports top. So I named this one the Jock, which, by the way, my husband absolutely hates.